Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host Russ, and today's episode is the tour around Hollywood Studios one. So I've done the tour around Universal one, I've done the tour around Epcot one, and to carry on this little series, the next one to do is Hollywood Studios. And a lot of you love Hollywood Studios. A lot of you have grown to love it, and a lot of you have loved it from when it started. So if we kind of wind it all the way back, well, I think it was the 1st of May, 1989 was when MGM Studios opened. This was one of the 3 original parks for Walt Disney World, Florida. And that was Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and MGM Studios, with Animal Kingdom coming later. So in 2008, that was when the name actually changed. And whether or not some of you like it or some of you don't, and some of you probably still call it MGM Studios. I know that whenever I go with my parents, they will continue to call it MGM, regardless. And that's fair enough. It's what obviously it used to be called, and to some people it will always be MGM. But in 2008, it changed. So since then, it has been Hollywood Studios. And I wanted to do this tour around. It's kind of like as much as anything, it's a fun walkthrough of the park. Like, I'm not going to go into huge detail of what every single thing is, because ultimately you either might know what it is, or if you don't want to know what it is, it would do more justice to go and like watch a video, or to go and do some full research into a specific ride, attraction, food stall, or shop. But I can take us on a fun guide, a fun little tour around the park. So while you're listening at work or at home or in the car or on a walk or whatever you're doing, it's nice to kind of go to a different place and in your mind be in Hollywood Studios. And that's why I wanted to do this series as much as anything. So I suppose the best way to start this is to kind of walk through the main turnstiles, and you'll basically end up in Hollywood Boulevard. In Hollywood Boulevard, there is one attraction. There is one attraction, which is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And the way that Disney actually described this ride and attraction is, I'm going to read it as well. So I'm not like, I'm not getting this off the top of my head. They say that it's a zip away on a zany adventure through a cartoon universe. A lot of you'll know that this is a great attraction. It's a great ride. It's good fun. That song is going to be stuck in your head for days, and we're kind of all right with it. It's a good addition to this park as much as anything as well. So that's it for attractions in Hollywood Boulevard. The next thing that we will go over, and I'll basically try and go through everything in every land. Like I said, I'm not going to go through them in huge detail, but I'll basically let you know what there is in each land as we walk around. We are going to try and go around the park kind of clockwise if possible. That might change. I always say this at the start, and then we end up changing it anyway as we go along. But you know, it's all good. It's all good. So the next thing there is dining options. So you've got the Hollywood Brown Derby or Derby, depending where you're from, and you've got a Hollywood Brown Derby or Derby Lounge as well. You've got shopping options. You've got, I'm going to butcher this as well, Sid Cahuenga's One of a Kind. You've got Mickey's of Hollywood, Keystone Cloviers, Celebrity 5 and 10, Oscar's Super Service. To be honest with you, I don't even know what half of those are. That's fine, because some of you would have been in these shops as well, and you'll know exactly what they are, and you'll be kind of envisaging them as we speak. And that is what this is all about. So that's Hollywood Boulevard, and Hollywood Boulevard is such a lovely entrance to a park as well, by the way. It's such a big area, and I love it. I think it looks fantastic. I think the entrance to Mickey and Minnie's looks great as well. So the next place we're going to head to, we're going to kind of hook a little bit of a left, and we're going to head towards Echo Lake. So in the Echo Lake area of the park, we got a few different attractions. So the first one on the list, we've got Indiana Jones Epic Stunt-tacular. They bill this as amazing stunts and movie making magic. It's a 30-minute show, and I think I've talked about it before. I love it. Like this to me, I remember going when it was MGM and watching Indiana Jones, and I was obviously a big Indiana Jones fan growing up as well. And it basically recreates scenes from the film or the film series. So you get to see some really cool stunts, see how they're done, and they kind of talk to you a little bit as it's going. It's kind of like they're filming the film, but they're kind of showing you at the same time. It's good fun. You're like, I would always go and do it. Every time I go to Hollywood Studios, I'm up for doing that. I think it's a good way to kind of go and rest your legs for half an hour. And being an Indiana Jones fan, it's an absolute result for me. The next thing in the Echo Lake area of the park is Star Tours. The adventures continue. In Star Tours, you get to feel the power of the Force during a 3D motion simulated space flight. I've talked to a few people about Star Tours at this point. It divides opinion. I'll be honest. It divides opinion because for one, it's been there for a while. It's been there for a while. Not everyone's a Star Wars fan, obviously, which is absolutely fair enough. Not everyone's a Star Wars fan, but some people do get motion sickness on this ride. It is where it's fairly old. The screens are not the latest technology. I will say that. Yeah, I get it. I do get it, but it's one of those rides. I think it's generally quite quiet. So I've got no issue with going on it. I like Star Wars. If I get an opportunity to see some of the kind of sights and sounds from the Star Wars films in this ride, then I'm a happy guy, The next attraction that they list on kind of like the park map is Meet Olaf at Celebrity Spotlight. So you get to meet Olaf from Frozen and Frozen 2. Vacation Fun, which is an original animated short with Mickey and Minney. Never done it before, so I can't talk to it, to be fair, but it might be good fun. I mean, there's no doubt it's going to be good fun. And another one I haven't done, but I really, really want to do this because the reviews in this are fantastic as well, is for the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration. And it's a flurry of stories, songs, and special guests from the Kingdom of Arendelle. I've talked about Frozen a few times. I'm a fan. I like Frozen. I like the films. I'm here for it. So and the reviews I got for this attraction are honestly, they are fantastic. Apparently it's really funny. The hosts of it are fabulous. So I've been recommended to do it. Next time I go, it is right at the top of the list of things to do. Dining options in the Echo Lake area of the park. You've got Hollywood and Vine, which is a character dining. You've got 50s Primetime Cafe. You've got Epic Eats, Oasis Canteen, Backlot Express, Dockside Diner, and Dinosaur Gertie's Ice Cream of Extinction. Again, like so many of these things are going to mean things to you guys, and the same with, like, I've been to some of these. Of course, I have. I might not remember what they necessarily all are or where they were located realistically, but I'm sure that you've all been there. I'm sure that there's so many times that you've gone to these places, and you can probably remember right now and think, I remember going to get a Mickey pretzel at this place or whatever, and that's, I love kind of like triggering the memory from really cool, fun times in Orlando, which is what these episodes are about as much as anything. With regards to shopping, you've got 2 shops in the Echo Lake area. You've got Tatooine Traders, which is obviously near Star Tours, and you've got Frozen Fractal Gifts, which is next to the Frozen sing-along celebration. The next area of the park which we get to is Commissionary Lane. So there's not too much in the Commissionary Lane area of this park. There's only 3 things there. There's one attraction, which is Meet Mickey and Minney at Red Carpet Dream. So this is a character meet from what I understand. And then you've got a couple of dining options. You've got Sci-Fi Dine-In Theatre Restaurant, and then you've got ABC Commissionary. Continuing around the park, the next area which we get to is Grand Avenue. So the Grand Avenue area of the park, as a lot of you will know, has the Muppet Vision 3D attraction in. And this is an experience the magic of the Muppets in this 3D extravaganza. It's 17 minutes long. If you're a fan of the Muppets, this is going to be right up your street. I'm going to be honest with you. Cards on the table here. I've never been a huge Muppets fan. I certainly don't dislike them. That is not the case. I've just never really got into it, if you know what I mean. And it's probably fairly controversial because I feel like a lot of people like Muppets. Like amazing. Like you do you. I'm here for that. But me personally, I've never been a huge Muppets fan. But at the same time, like, you know, if I were in the park and I wanted to go and get out the sun, go and have a little sit down, I'm sure and I have seen it before. I know it's entertaining and it's funny. If I'm up for that, then I'd go and do it all day long. You've got a few different dining options in the Grand Avenue area of the park as well. You've got ice cold hydraulics, you've got Pizza Rio, you've got Mama Melrose's Ristorante Italiano, and you've got Baseline Tap House. Again, I personally actually can't remember whether or not I've been to any of these, to be fair. And the thing is, to be fair, like I haven't been in Hollywood studios enough recently to like absolutely nailed on remember every single restaurant and shop and stuff like that. Like I would immediately recognize them. I would immediately know where they were, but I like off the top of my head wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I know exactly where ice cold hydraulics is located. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't have enough memories of that specific thing to remember it by. The next area which we're going to get to, and I suppose for a lot of people and certainly for myself, this is one of the biggest draws of this park, is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I've talked about this a lot. For me, in terms of immersive lands, this is right up there. And regardless if you're a Star Wars fan or not, I think anyone can appreciate that this land looks fantastic. The attractions in there are fabulous. The general theming and the feel of the area and the characters walking around and the interactions really are special. I really do think they are. Obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, it gets leveled up. It goes up an absolute, you know, like to the top tier. If you're not a Star Wars fan, and to be fair, there's with Star Wars fans, and I will say this, like people who love Star Wars. People who aren't into Star Wars are pretty against it. There aren't that many, I would argue, personally. I don't think there's that many that kind of sit on the fence with it. I think you either lean towards big fan or like not a fan. I don't mean there's many like casual Star Wars fans. Maybe casual from the older stuff, but like the moment we're getting into the new stuff, I think you've got to be a pretty diehard at this point, which is fine. It's, you know, there's a lot of lore behind Star Wars as well, so I know there's a lot to be invested in to understand all of the stories, which is fair enough, especially considering all the films came out in the wrong order necessarily. But yeah, so in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the first ride that we come to is Rise of the Resistance. As many of you will know, this is one of my favorite rides and attractions. I think it is fabulous. I think genuinely they knocked it out of the park. The scale, the story, just everything, the visuals, the sounds, the sights, like you name it. I personally believe that ride is a top tier attraction. I think it's fantastic. Not for everyone, and I totally get this, and like I'll never forget it, to be fair, going back to the Ellie and Mitchell episode where Ellie said that she thought it was her most overrated, and I feel what she's saying actually, because I love it, but I hype it. So and I know that I know that I absolutely hype this ride up as high as I can, because I'm a Star Wars fan, and because the immersiveness I got on that ride was so high that I'm going to shout about it. But at the same time, I also know that not everyone's going to feel the same way about it. And that is the magic of Orlando. It's the magic of different attractions, rides, and IPs and stuff as well. So I love that, and genuinely, that was one of my favorite guest episodes ever to have done. It was fantastic chatting with Ellie and Mitchell. They were brilliant. I've got to give you the description as me like going on about Rise of the Resistance. The description which Disney give is: find yourself in the middle of a battle between the First Order and Resistance. It's fantastic. If you haven't done it, you got to do it. I'm telling you, off the recommendation of myself and many others, you got to go and do it. The other ride in this area is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And this is billed as fly the fastest ship in the galaxy while hurtling through hyperspace. I think this is good fun. I think the fact that you get different roles is good fun. What I will say is, if you do ride this ride, if you get to be the pilot, I think it's the most immersive experience. I don't necessarily think that, like, the technicians, I can't remember what they're called, they're like the people who fix the ship, necessarily have the biggest role, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you basically kind of get to sit back and just watch it, and you're not having to, like, if you're the gunner, I think your experience ends up being a little bit frantic with trying to have to push buttons as quick as possible. So, but it's great fun. If anyone who hasn't done it, I think it's a must do. If you manage to do it with a big group of you as well, if you say you do it with a group of 6 and you all know each other and you obviously all got separate roles, I think that's really cool. I think it'll be a fab experience. Moving round Galaxy's Edge, we go to the dining options. So there's 5 different dining options in Batu or Galaxy's Edge. You've got Katsaka's Kettle, you've got Ronto Roasters, Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo, Ogre's Cantina, and the Milk Stand. So a lot of you'll know Ogre's Cantina. That's probably like the big one. That's like the big themed restaurant in the area. I haven't eaten in there. I have walked in there. I have looked around in there, but I haven't had a meal in there, so to speak. So that's on the list to do. I think that the decor inside is fantastic. Big fan. So I can't talk highly enough, and I will try not to talk too highly about Star Wars, considering I'm obviously a fan. The next things we've got in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is the shopping options. You've got Resistance Supply, you've got the Market Merchants, you've got Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, you've got Savvy's Workshop, which is where you get the lightsabers built. You've got the Droid Depot, is where like you'll see all of the droid parts going on, like the conveyor belts and stuff, and the like kids or adults as well get to basically make a droid, which is so cool. Love that. And then you've got First Order Cargo. So there's various different shops around the area selling quite cool merch. And I mean, obviously, like, some of those lightsabers are wicked, and like the droids as well, like so cool. Love it. I'm gonna stop going on about Star Wars, because I'm pretty boring at this point. The next area we're gonna get to is Toy Story Land. This is a great land. It's good fun. One thing I will say for Toy Story Land, and some of you will know this and some of you won't, but Toy Story Land is actually the hottest place on earth. People who've been there will know that actually this is hotter than the devil's armpit. This is ridiculous. There is no shade anywhere, and I know it's talked about quite a lot that, like, when someone built Toy Story Land and when they went to the drawing board with it, what they didn't do was think about anyone getting out of the sun at any point. It is roasting. However, it looks fabulous. So in terms of attractions, there are 3 attractions in the Toy Story Land. You've got Alien Swirling Saucers, where you take a spin with the adorable aliens of Toy Story. You've got Slinky Dog Dash, which is a family-friendly coaster that twists and turns. Expectant mothers should not ride. Probably didn't need to include that bit, but I read it, so it's fine. To be fair, I've never ridden Slinky Dog. I think I've said this before. I haven't been on it, and the reason why is because the queue was so long, and like whenever I've been there, it's been so long. So unfortunately, I haven't been prepared to queue for like an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it was at the time to get on this ride. I didn't deem it enough to go and do it. personally. I will do it, and obviously it is on the list to do, but at the same time, there are some rides that I'm not prepared to wait silly times for, when there's other things in the park that I potentially would rather do. But you know, each to their own. And the other attraction in Toy Story Land is Toy Story Mania, where you ride this Midway style 4D shooting game. This is good fun. This is good fun. A lot of you'll know this is good fun. You will get wrist ache on this ride. It is intense, and you know, you might fall out with your family members about who got the highest score, but it's good fun. I love a shooter ride. I'm all for it. Queues on this are pretty big as well, to be fair. That I will say. But you know, at the same time, it is good fun. So I will say if you're up for a good shooter, this is one of the best. Dining options, you've got Woody's Lunchbox, or you've got the Roundup Rodeo Barbecue. I want to do this. I want to do this bad. I think this looks so good. And I'll go back to actually a Tom and Jess T&J Travels video from probably about a month ago at this point, and where they went to do the rodeo barbecue. And I think it looks fantastic. I think the food looks great. The reviews I've read and seen are fabulous. It just looks fun. Like the whole thing of Andy walking in and you basically all kind of like freeze while Andy's come in the room. I love it. I love it. I think that's such a cool. I think it's cool. Being a Toy Story fan growing up, I'm here for it, and I really really want to do that. At some point, I'm going to do it because I keep saying it's on the list. Everything's on the list at this point. But I need to do an episode where I basically list the things I haven't done. Sadly, list the things I haven't done, but I want to do on my next trip, because at least then I've got somewhere to go back to, and I can listen back to the episode and I can remember all these things as well. Because I keep saying I want to do everything, but we all know that there isn't enough time. So I'm gonna have to go back a few times, but we know this. So this is fine. It's all in the plans. It's all in the plans. It's happening. Don't be wrong. The shopping options, you've got one shop, which is Jesse's Trading Post in the Toy Story Land. Next section of the park that we've got is Pixar Plaza. There is only one thing in Pixar Plaza, and that is to meet Edna Mode at the Edna Mode Experience. So anyone who's a fan of The Incredibles will know Edna Mode, and it looks like a lot of fun as well. She's quite the character. Next area of the park that we get to is Animation Courtyard. In Animation Courtyard, you've got 3 attractions. The first one is Walt Disney Presents, which is explore Disney history in a multimedia gallery, plus get a sneak peek of an upcoming Disney film on select dates. So you might be able to catch a clip of an up and coming Disney film, which is a win for anyone who likes a bit of film, which inevitably we all do. We all like Disney films. Otherwise, we're probably not going to Disney. But yeah, that's a cool attraction. Big fan. You've got Star Wars Launch Bay, which is view authentic movie props and meet Star Wars characters. Always good fun. I love seeing movie props. I'm all for it. You know, like anyone who's been to like the Disney 100 Expo in London, like love it. Love being able to see props from films. Here for it all day long. You've got Disney Junior Play and Dance, where you join Disney Junior characters in this high energy musical celebration. I have no idea what that is, which is fine, and probably would have potentially been weird maybe if I did it. I don't know, but it sounds good fun. It sounds like it's probably aimed to children, which is good. Like anyone who's done it, or whose child or children have done it, let me know, because I'm intrigued to know what it is. The dining options, you have got what they bill as Market, and then a Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company stand, which is good fun. We have got one more area of Hollywood Studios, and this is bound to be some people's favorite area. I love it. I love the look of it. I love the look of it. And this area is Sunset Boulevard. I love walking up Sunset Boulevard and just seeing one certain ride at the end of it, and it just gives me the feels, because this to me screams MGM, it screams Hollywood Studios, it screams Disney, it screams Orlando, and that attraction is The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. I love this. I love it so much. I think it's fantastic. I really, really do. They bill it as take a thrilling ride into the Twilight Zone aboard a haunted elevator. I love it. Anyone who's never done this ride, by the way, I appreciate if you haven't done it because you don't like drop rides. But if you don't like drop rides, I get it. Fair enough. But if you just haven't done it and you're all right with drop rides, get on it. Get on this. It is absolutely fabulous. I love it. And genuinely, it makes me smile. It makes me laugh. Probably makes me cry with laughter. I just think it's absolutely top tier. And don't get me wrong, like, and I've had this conversation before because obviously in California they've rethemed this to Guardians of the Galaxy. I am a big Marvel fan. I am a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan. Do not touch this ride. I'm happy with Guardians of the Galaxy being Cosmic Rewind. I do not want Twilight Zone Tower of Terror to become Guardians of the Galaxy. I've said it. And that comes from, I would bill myself as a massive, massive Marvel fan. Don't do it. So that is the first attraction in Sunset Boulevard. The second attraction is Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. You blast off in a stretch limousine to the rocking tunes of Aerosmith. It's good fun. It's good fun. And to be fair, I haven't talked about this ride an awful lot. I like it, and that's it. Ugh. I know it gets a lot of hype, this ride. I'm not trying to get into the controversy, but to be fair, if I were to pick an overrated ride, sorry guys, but I'm going this. And I'm going it because it, again, and like there's the Tron issue a little bit. It feels too short for me. It feels so short. It feels like you barely get on the ride and it's like it's over. For me anyway. And like, I don't know, I like it. I'd like it more if it were rethemed. And that's just me. And I'd be actually really intrigued to know where you guys stand with this as well, because obviously this is a ride that's been there for a long time. I do enjoy the ride a lot. Obviously, I love a coaster, so get me on a coaster, I'm happy. But just for me, it misses a little bit for me. It really does. I get off it feeling a little underwhelmed. And in fairness, I've got to be fair. Like 15, 20 years ago, this ride would have felt epic. However, obviously, since other rides have come along, bigger, faster, longer, taller, whatever else rides, they kind of left this behind. And I think that is probably fair to say. And I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to upset anyone because my opinion on this ride, but I like it. I don't love it. That's where I stand. If you have an opinion on this ride, let me know, because I'm really, really intrigued to know. Actually, it'd be great to know where everyone stands on this ride, to whether or not they would keep, update, or close. What would you do? The next attraction we've got in the Sunset Boulevard area is Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. Learn what it takes to be a champion from the legendary racer Lightning McQueen. Then you've got two shows. So you've got Beauty and the Beast live on stage, which is a Broadway style retelling of A Tale as Old as Time, which is 25 minutes long. If you're a fan of Beauty and the Beast, you're going to love it. Again, it's a good opportunity to go and sit down for 25 minutes and just watch this fabulous retelling of the story. I'm here for it. I love a bit of Beauty and the Beast. I love the previous films, and to go and watch a 25-minute retelling of it in Hollywood studios, I'm down for it. I'm absolutely down for it. And the final thing is Phantasmic. So Mickey's dreams come to life in this outdoor nighttime spectacular. It's a 30-minute show. This is only on in the evening, funnily enough. And this is up there with one of the best nighttime shows anywhere. It is fantastic. It is fabulous. Anyone knows it is special. It really, really is. And if you haven't had the opportunity to go and see it, you've got to go and do it. You've got to go and do it at some point. I've laid down the gauntlet. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. In terms of dining options, you've got Sunshine Day Park, you've got Sunset Ranch Market, you've got Anaheim Produce, Rosie's All American Cafe, Catalina Eddie's, Fairfax Fair, Hollywood Scoops. You've got another Joffrey's as well. And then shopping options, you've got Sunset Ranch Pins and Souvenirs, Once Upon a Time, Legends of Hollywood, Beverly Sunset Boutique. And that basically rounds off everything in the park. Like I said, I just wanted to give us a tour around. We basically walked around clockwise as well. Sorry, I don't even know if I said that, but we walked around the park clockwise. And by the time that we've got to the end of all of that, we have basically ended up back round to Hollywood Boulevard again. So Hollywood Boulevard is where we started. And then, you know, from there, if you've done the park clockwise, fantastic. And then you can go off to go and do your favorite stuff again, or, you know, you might be ending your day, whatever it is you're doing. But I think genuinely, I think it's a wonderful park. I think it's fantastic. I love being there. It's got a bit more of a chilled feel as well. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I think personally, and I know I said this in an episode a couple of weeks ago, I think it, because it's had its update and its expansions recently with regards to kind of like Toy Story and Star Wars, it's unlikely to have anything else soon. But I do think it could probably do with a tweak here or there. And we come back to the Aerosmith thing. So please do let me know where you stand on it as well. I hope this has been good fun. I like the idea of doing this kind of tour series. It is just a nice, fun, chilled podcast of us basically walking around the park together and kind of learning what there is. And we might already know what there is as well. That's absolutely fine. That's the case with a lot of Disney and Orlando and Universal content that is out there on YouTube and podcasts and whatnot. But it's just fun to kind of, wherever you are in the UK or in the world right now, it's nice to kind of transport yourself to somewhere in Florida and just be in the zone of kind of walking around the park and experiencing these rides and attractions in your mind as much as anything. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode. I've enjoyed recording it. It's been really, really good fun. As ever, thank you all so much for sharing, for listening, for supporting the channel. It is flying. It really, really is. But I honestly couldn't do it without you. So please do share it. Please do screenshot it, whatever you want to do, and share it on your Instagram. And I'll always share it back. It genuinely means the world. It's grown because of you guys, and I honestly can't thank you enough. And I will always try to thank you as much as I can in any way possible. So keep doing it, and I'll keep appreciating it so much. Once again, thank you for listening, and I will speak to you all in the next one.